In Station 1, Jesus is condemned to die. The Catholic social teaching I chose is the life and dignity of the human person. I chose this because we all have the right to life and life is sacred. The injustice represented by the picture is abortion. Abortion is a mother's choice to end her child's life. This ties into both the Station and the Catholic social teaching because Jesus was condemned to death wrongfully by the people violating the fact that life is sacred, just as abortion is a mother choosing to end a life. In Station 2, Jesus carries his cross. The principle I chose is rights and responsibilities. The injustice I used is unjust political systems. Jesus was forced to carry his cross even though he was in no condition to do so. This connects all three things because we should speak up and defend those who are in need. Political systems often neglect the poor and needy and also take advantage of them for their own gain. In the picture, a man of wealth is sitting on top of a man who is in need. Station 3 is Jesus falling for the first time. The principle I chose is dignity and rights of workers. I chose this principle because the basic rights of workers should be protected. The image is of two angry men on strike representing unfair treatment of workers. These go together because workers shouldn't be treated unfairly, paid less, or working in terrible environments. Jesus was pulled back up and forced to continue even though he was in no condition to do so. The dignity and rights of workers states that the economy must serve people. No one should have to work in a state of exhaustion, pain, or unfavorable condition. In Station 4, Jesus meets his mother. The principle I used is call to community, family, and participation. The injustice represented by this picture is discrimination. This ties into Station 4 because when Jesus sees his mom, he is overcome with love and has the strength to carry on. When we discriminate against others for any reason or leave them out, they begin to feel unloved and have no strength to continue. In Station 5, Simon helps Jesus carry his cross. I chose the principle solidarity because it is the unity of people. We are all one human family. The picture is of a homeless man representing not helping those less fortunate than we are. Simon helps Jesus carry his cross because Jesus was unable to carry it on his own. The picture of the homeless man proves that there are people who need our help and reminds us that we should help them just as Simon helped Jesus. In Station 6, Veronica wipes Jesus' face. I chose the principle preferential option for the poor and vulnerable. The injustice represented is poverty. This ties into Station 6 because Jesus was the most fragile at that moment. The principle is based on putting the needs of the poor and vulnerable ahead of our own. Just as Veronica wiped the blood off of Jesus' face, we need to work towards helping people that are poverty-stricken and helpless, causing them to be unable to provide for their families.
Station 7. Jesus falls for the second time. The main Catholic social teaching for this station is solidarity. Just as we fall to the ground in our lives as Jesus did, God, family, and our friends will always be here to pick us up and help us carry our cross. The first picture shows Jesus during the actual station, and the second picture relates to the station in the sense that Jesus is embracing and helping someone through a troubling time. Station 8. Jesus meets the woman of Jerusalem. The main Catholic social teaching for this station is the life and dignity of a person. The women in Jerusalem weep at the sight of Jesus, whom they see him as a son, carrying his cross through his end. And like mothers today, they have to struggle between choosing life or death for their child in the womb. The first picture depicts Jesus meeting the woman of Jerusalem, and the second picture is an image that inspires women to choose life over death in abortion. Station 9. Jesus falls for the third time. The Catholic social teaching for this station is preference for the poor and vulnerable. Like Jesus, there are people today who are completely broken and are crushed under the weight of society. The homeless, who can relate to Jesus in these situations, often lie helpless while others either ignore or see them as human waste. Instead of looking at these people like the executioners looked at Jesus, we should see them for what they really are, people. The first image depicts Jesus being brutally beaten by his executioners while he lies on the floor helpless. The second image is a powerful image where a homeless man is asking for just human kindness. Instead of food or money or anything else, he's just looking for one thing that he hasn't seen in a long time: kindness. Station 10. Jesus is stripped. The main Catholic social teaching for this station is preference for the poor and vulnerable. Although Jesus was stripped of his clothes, there is one thing that he shares with other people in this station, being stripped of his dignity. Like many teens today, we are subject and vulnerable to the words and torment of others. However, it is important that we need to look to God for asylum, just as Jesus did when he was hanging from the cross and was stripped of and ridiculed in front of other people.
In the 11th station, Jesus is nailed to the cross. This can be related to the principle of rights and responsibilities and the injustice of having an unjust political leader, Pontius Pilate. He viewed Jesus as a threat to Roman authority and was the one who condemned Jesus to his unjust crucifixion. Today, many political leaders murder innocent people due to religion, just as they murder Jesus for claiming to be King of the Jews. In the 12th station, Jesus dies on the cross. The Catholic social teaching that I chose that relates to this station is the life and dignity of a human person. The injustice in his murder on the cross, and how the crowd who watched him suffer on the cross, and those who tied him up while they watched his mother weep, had no care for the life of this human being. They murdered him, the Son of God. In the 13th station, Jesus is taken down from the cross. The Catholic social teaching that I chose for this station is care for God's creation. Once he was taken down, he was completely dead, and the sacrifice had been completed for how much he loved all of God's creation. When he was laying in his mother's arms, you could see the love God created between a mother and her child. All the people who had loved him gathered around, showing love that they all had for the Son of God. In the 14th station, Jesus is laid in the tomb. The Catholic social teaching for this station would be solidarity. As Jesus laid in the tomb, all of humanity is in solidarity by his ultimate sacrifice. All of us should be thankful for the ultimate gift he gave us, and he died for all of our salvation.